Grazie. Grazie per avermi invitata e un onore per me aver potuto partecipato a questa fantastica conferenza. Ora per vostre orecchie, se mi è permesso, continuerò in English. So,
Perfect. That was perfect.
it was not perfect, and a shout out to my team in Italy for helping me manage that. So, guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk here today about the importance of Italy as a market within the EU, because I think there is a real good news story here that's not often being told about the strength of the ecosystem here in Italy. So, a little bit about me. By way of background, I started my career as a lawyer in London, working on kind of financial services, traditional banking, private equity, that kind of stuff, and frankly got bored. So I went back to school, did an MBA, stayed on for a period of time in Oxford as an associate fellow, and started a couple of businesses along the way. I got the crypto bug a couple of years ago, and was delighted to join CoinFlip in a role where I get to head up our expansion plans in the EU, where we're operating under the brand name of Olliv. So I wanted to talk today about why we entered Italy as our first market in Europe. So CoinFlip, who you may know if you've been to the US, are the largest operator of Bitcoin ATMs in the world. We have nearly 5,000 machines, primarily in the US, Australia, and Canada. And we kind of looked at Europe and said, there's a great untapped market here. How do we go about this? And when we started looking at a variety of factors in the ecosystem, we decided that Milan specifically and Italy was going to be our first market for market entry. Now, lots of people looked at me with a shock and awe kind of look of surprise of saying, why Italy? Isn't that really complicated? Isn't it a difficult place to do business? I went on holiday there and my luggage was lost. Stuff like that. And I think that's just not been true at all in our experience. So I wanted to talk today about why we made that choice. And I think there's three really important factors that contribute to that untold story about Italy. The first thing is Italy itself is an absolutely huge market. And if you're serious, as we are, about building a pan-European industry, you can't ignore Italy. It's 60 million plus people, it's a G7 economy, and it has a very sophisticated traditional finance sector that can't be ignored. And again, there's this misperception about Italy as being the town of the Romans, the holiday resorts, all that kind of stuff that isn't at all true. So, the great untold story of Italy is, by some accounts, it's the second biggest market for crypto outside Germany. This shocks a lot of people, but it's true. Already, 7 million Italians bought crypto last year. That's a huge penetration rate, and what's interesting about that is it was 2022. It was right in the sort of the nadir of the down market for crypto. And we think there's a great untold story here about how resilient Italy has been during this bear market. It goes on. In the same survey, which was conducted by an industry body for the Italian asset management industry, they found that another 7 million Italians expressed an interest in buying crypto going forward. So we think this leaves the country really well placed to become great adopters as this industry grows. And again, if you're serious about building a Web3 business, or in fact any business in crypto, you can't ignore growth that looks like that. So we've talked about the number of people buying crypto, and particularly retail. What's also interesting in Italy is that you've had a growth in absolute terms in the amount of money going into the crypto ecosystem and being traded there. So a lot of money moving from fiat into crypto. Again, even during the kind of the transition from the bull to the bear market, you saw a 50% increase. That's 50% year on year in terms of investment into crypto in Italy. And that's not just being driven by retail. That's also being driven by institutional money. So you're seeing here banks like Banca Sella and a number of other kind of high-value trading outfits, predominantly centered in Milan, but taking this really, really seriously. And so we think this is a phenomenal opportunity for anyone interested in a growth market in Web3. So another thing to say about Italy, again, is it's actually a pretty good regulatory environment. Again, a misperception about Italy is that everything is very complicated. It takes ages to do anything. You need permission. And in our experience, that's not really been true. So the Italian regulators are not the loosest in Europe, but they're not the strictest. In my view, they've got the balance. about right. So it's a pretty tight KYC environment. We KYC everyone from the first euro because we think that's the right thing to do. But what the Italian regulator does do is they support innovation. They allow you to register and get going. They supervise you, they audit you, but they don't load undue compliance burdens on businesses, as, for example, you see in the UK. This is another stat that surprises lots of people. There are 125 VASPs registered in Italy. If I take my home country as an example, the UK, there are currently less than 40 VASPs registered with the FCA. And does anyone know how many of those were registered within the last 12 months? I can count them on one hand. It's just 2. And that really astonishes people who think of the UK as being a forward-thinking kind of hub for financial innovation. That's not true. Actually, Italy is way ahead of the curve here. So the regulators are pretty accommodating, and I'm going to give you an example of that. One of the complexities that we have found running a cash business, so we run Bitcoin ATMs, which provide a cash on-ramp into crypto, is that there are a ton of rules and regulations about how you have to handle euro banknotes. And primarily those are aimed at making sure that counterfeit notes or damaged notes don't re-enter circulation. But look, it's pretty complicated. We're an American company. We haven't dealt with euro notes before. We approached a number of regulators in various European countries, including Germany, France, Spain, and the people who were the most helpful were Banca d'Italia. Within 2 weeks of requesting a call with them, we got the relevant team at Banca d'Italia on the phone. They spent 2 hours with us talking through how to run our business, how we should be thinking about regulations in this new context of crypto. And they ended the call by saying, "It's great that we're seeing this innovation. Thank you. Get in touch with us again." And that's fantastic as an attitude from a regulator. And again, I think that's really one of the untold stories about Italy. And the third theme for this very short talk that I'd like to leave you with about Italy is that there is a phenomenally supportive ecosystem here for anyone looking to build a business in crypto or Web3. And this fits with what we at Olliv are really trying to do. So we're not just trying to build like the biggest network of crypto ATMs, we're also trying to build a community. So a group of passionate users, passionate hosts, and beyond that, a passionate team. So my team here in Italy have been fantastic, and we've loved working with them. To give another example about how Italy works on trust and can provide that support, I'm going to tell you a story about how we installed our first machine. And my CTO, Damien, who's somewhere at the back, can bear this out. So we showed up with a series of technical SOPs developed in Chicago. Now, things are a little bit different in the US to the EU. For example, the plugs are different. No one thought to tell me this. There's a difference between metric and imperial to the level where one screwdriver doesn't work on a metric screw. So I trained as a lawyer. I don't know this stuff. Anyway, we showed up with our vendor, who are based near Florence, with a couple of machines and, frankly, an absolute mess of SOPs. And they sorted us out. They taught us how all of this would work. They lent us some epoxy resin or something to help bridge the gaps in our terrible measurements. And they provided us with all sorts of paperwork that avoided us being all sorts of illegal in terms of importing machines and transporting them across Italy. And as we left, they gave us a pat on the back and said, "You guys, you're pioneers. Go off and do it." And there are very few countries in Europe, or indeed in the world, where you get that level of trust, quality, and service in your partners. And we've just loved that about doing business in Italy. So back to our theme of community. All of our ATMs sit in host locations. So our most important partners in any market are the people who put the ATMs in their stores, look after them, and recruit users day to day. And we've been really lucky that within the ecosystem here in Italy, we found some really passionate hosts who've helped us build the business, who've helped run community-based events to get the word out about what we're doing and who we are. And we're really, really excited about the community that we are building here in Italy. So one of the things I'm really pleased to announce today is that not only has Italy been our test market for the ATM product, but we're also going to be launching our second product here in Italy in the next 3 months. And that will be a concierge-style service for high-value trades. So if you want to trade something like 10,000 euros or more, you don't need to use an exchange anymore. You can phone us up and you'll get the kind of white-glove concierge-style service that you'll be familiar with from your traditional finance IFA. And we'll be building that business out of Milan, and we're recruiting. So come join us, come join our community, and we're really excited to meet you. So, thank you. And one of the things that Andrea said to me when we were preparing this talk was that he wanted to leave space for Q&As. So I thought I'd do that with the majority of the time that we've got left. So literally ask me anything, from why have we got olive oil on our stand, to what the hell's going on in the UK, to basically any other questions that you may have, including handling euro banknotes, which I've become something of an expert on.
Thank you, Katherine. Questions? And in the meantime, while you're going to think about some questions, I think Katherine hands down the best speech of all the 2 days here, and I've been sitting in this room quite a lot. I think she touches on a lot of points that really made us doing this event, ETHMilan here. Because I lived in the UK for quite many years and been around many cities. And, you know, I was impressed when so many people showed up here at the door for ETHMilan. Yeah. I think there is definitely a very supportive community in whatever niche you are in, especially even if that's an innovation. We tend to think of Italy as a slow country, and I'm literally the first person which thinks that. But reality is actually different.
It's not true. No, Italy's not a slow country.
And it is quite impressive. So thank you very much for your speech. It was really awesome, at least for me, to listen up. And also, I like the fact that you mentioned how there is always a way to just get around things, right? So right. I also think that there are a lot of different issues and problems and a little bit of bureaucratic stuff, but there is always 100% a way to go around that. So that's a big point. So having said that, have you guys thought about any question? No one is curious about why they have olive oil into the stands? If not, I'm going to ask that questions. Why do you have olive oil on your stands?
Okay, so the story goes back to a couple of years ago when our founders in Chicago realized that they wanted to transition the business. And they wanted to turn the business that we had from something which started really as Bitcoin enthusiasts who thought, isn't it cool that we can use a machine to do exchanges, into something which would look and feel much more inclusive. For example, we wanted to increase the penetration rate of crypto amongst women, whereas historically it's been quite a male-dominated community. And so the first step in doing that was changing the name, because CoinFlip, the name that we started in the US with, tends to feel more crypto and a bit less like the kind of service that normal people would use to do normal stuff. So we came up with the name Olliv, and it was a name that, amongst many names we considered, made everybody smile. And the reason it made everybody smile is that because whether it's subconscious or not, it's associated with kind of the beauty and the power of the olive tree and all of the life that's brought us over thousands of years. So when we were thinking about something to give away as a little gift to say thank you to everyone for stopping by, it seemed obvious that we would choose the olive oil to kind of bring out that symbolism and to share kind of something that's really magical about Italy.
That's brilliant. That's great stories. And also very looking forward for that CoinFlip service. I do use OTC concierge or voiceover, and I guess many of you do that as well. I'm pretty satisfied with the service I have. I'm not gonna say who is that. Wait. But you know, there is nothing that I would look forward more than having like a proper concierge that can assist me in any off ramp, on ramp, or OTC deal. So it's pretty exciting. Thank you very much, Katherine. Again, another round of applause.
Thanks everyone, and see you later. If you haven't done so, please do stop by and try some of the oil. I'm told it's very, very good, and it comes from a small producer just outside Puglia. So. Good stuff.
I will definitely try it out. Thank you.